very short glimpse to an article which was published a week ago in the New York Times, just to show you some of the pictures of the area I live in. So I try with share screen. Let's see if it works. And yeah, so we start with this. Okay.
Yeah, we can see now.
Yeah, here it is. So that was an article which was published on the 28th of March. And it says that here it is the bleak heart of the world's deadliest coronavirus outbreak. I'm not sure we're still, you know, the top one, because as you all know, the virus is moving and developing more and more contagions all over the world. And I will just, you know, scroll to let you see and read with me. There have been 11,591 deaths in Italy. Now the toll I looked for you, it's around 15,000, but the number is definitely not accurate because we are not sure how, you know, the deaths are counted. Only my province, which counts 1 million and so, let's say, people, we had something like 5,000 deaths. So figures are not updated and not precise, but still it gives you an idea. In my village, I just live on the outskirts of Bergamo. We are 8,700 people. And just last week, it was, I think the last number I had, it was 105 people died. It means more than 1% of the population in 5 weeks. Yeah. So again, we are the most affected area in town in Italy so far. Fortunately, I mean, fortunately is not the right word, but still, we were the first, and there are some reasons why this area in Italy, my region, which is called Lombardy, is very densely populated, and it's economical, let's say, hub. So many universities, many factories, many companies, lots of airports, train stations, whatever. It's very rich, very dynamic, and very densely populated. So this may have helped the virus in spreading. And my town specifically, it's quite it's a quite healthy, wealthy province, as they say in the New York Times. I would say we don't know much about unemployment or, you know, of course, there are some difficult situations and social cases and whatever, but basically it's a place where you can live well and you can work and, you know, deal with your own life quite nicely. And then it all changed because of the virus. We had, I don't know the English terms, we have like hotspots or hubs of the contagion, especially one hospital, not the one in Bergamo actually, it is the one which is close to my place in Alzano Lombardo, where the virus started actually his journey in Italy and in my region. And then there were a few mistakes committed, because actually they should have probably called the area as a red zone, as they did somewhere else. And they did not do that because of economical reasons. This is a very, very rich, let's say, region of the region, with very important factories, and they were not brave enough to just stop everything and close it down. So I think this is, maybe nowadays, it's the main reason why we are a bit angry, let's say. And yeah, probably those are pictures you have seen already. The coffins were so, you know, so many, we couldn't really bury them all together, and the army came and took some coffins away to be cremated elsewhere. And that was, you know, what I'd say, the picture of our trauma Like, you know, on an emotional point of view, when the numbers increase so much, that means basically every family has another, you know, a positive case or even a casualty. And for weeks, you know, every day you would hear from people calling and saying, you know, this and that died, and or this and that is in hospital. We are really going through a collective trauma here. And we don't have now the tools, the means to treat it, because we are basically alone, each, you know, in his own place. Communication, yeah, it's like this. So it's good. We can indeed talk, but it's not really, you know, the let's say the perfect way to elaborate what's going on. And then many people who, well, actually all families who lost someone couldn't bury them because of security reasons, because of funerals didn't take place, also due to the high, you know, numbers. And you know, mourning was not possible. So all those bereaved people are now going through losing without being able to really bid farewell. And this again will be a, you know, a wound we will have to find a way to manage. So that's, you know, I wanted to show first hand what's happening, like, you know, in pictures and numbers, because I think it's very difficult otherwise to understand why what we went through. But especially I think it's easier now because we are all in the same, you know, more or less situation. But when I first wrote my letter to the village, it was, I think, 3 weeks ago. And then I forwarded it to Gideon Levy, this journalist of Haaretz, we all know. And I did it because he was in Bergamo 2 years ago, invited by me to hold a conference, and he really fell in love with the place. So since we were in touch, I thought he would have liked to know, you know, what was happening here, and he actually wanted. So when I did that, it was because I had the feeling nobody really understood what was going on, and since we were the first in Europe, I really felt that it was our responsibility to tell people what was the perspective, and what we were learning, and we are still learning, and how maybe to take our lesson and do something good for them. I remember I was talking to a friend of mine who works for Doctors Without Borders in Spain, in Barcelona, and she was like, yeah, but look, only elders die, and you know, it's now we are exaggerating, it's, you know, some sort of propaganda. And I remember myself telling her, look, I don't know about your hospitals, but ours will not be able to manage such an emergency, because our, you know, intensive care units are not as big. They cannot really host so many people. If there will be a huge wave of positive cases, then we will not be able to manage, as simply as that. And this is what happened here. And I must say, I'm even glad it happened here in Bergamo, because we, in our region, we have a very, very good health system. So we have facilities, we have good doctors. Our hospital in Bergamo is one of the best in Europe, you know, with specialized staff and very good devices, you know, whatever. So still they were able to manage. What they were not able to manage were the numbers, because of the political choices made in the last 20 years in my region, which is led by, let's say, rightist parties now for 20 years. They have been cutting investment in the healthcare system. So if you compare the beds in the intensive care units in Germany, for instance, and in Italy, you will see a huge difference. So this actually was one of the reasons why so many people died in Italy. And then another reason was that the average age of the population is really high. We are an old people. And so we know that old people are more vulnerable. And so this is the other reason why the numbers here are really frightening. And yeah, so this is a frame. What's happening now? And what we have been learning is that the situation is completely not under control, but not because we are Italians and blah, blah, but because this virus is new and the way it develops is unknown. So every other day we learn something new about what we have to do and what we can do or we cannot in order to really prevent people to get sick. And it's not easy because like there is no history, there's no clinical history of the disease. So we really learn as it develops here. And like for instance, today they made it compulsory in my region to wear the mask. It was not compulsory until yesterday. I mean, it was if you had to go in a shop, not to walk in the streets. And you can walk in the streets only to go to a shop. Okay, but still, I mean, if I run my dog outdoor, I was not supposed to get a mask, and now we are, because they say it's not enough to keep a social distance. Yeah. So again, maybe tomorrow there will be something new. For sure, the numbers are not decreasing the way it was expected. Again, we don't know why. Probably it spreads much more than we thought, than we considered, right? So it's really quite demanding, the situation. Then there are also nice things, like here in this area, there's a really quite important reality of voluntarism. Also normally, like, I don't know, only in my village, I think there are 25 different associations of people who volunteer. And again, there was a huge activation of, at a grassroots level, of people who would do whatever. Me, myself, I enrolled in an association who goes to shop for elders, like groceries and medicines. And there was a huge again activation of people who just created a hospital in the fair building. So I think it was like something like 250 people in 2 weeks. They built a new unit, and that was done completely out of private donations and by volunteers. And you see also, like, everyday small gestures of solidarity and care. So this is I think something good, and something that makes me feel that maybe there are seeds of light in this situation, even if, you know, it's rather difficult. Then there's also, you know, I think we are on an emotional wave, yeah? Like at the beginning it was all new and we had to adjust quickly. I'm home now, I think, for 6 weeks. So I started to work from home at the end of February, basically. And so, you know, yeah, it's fun. You wake up when you want, you work, you know, you have to, I work from home, but still I manage my time. And kids home from school, they were nice, they were good. And then when we realized that the first deadline we had, it was on the 3rd of April, was going to be postponed, you know, the mood started to change, and people started to feel really like a bit more frightened, more worried about also personal situations. There are some people who don't work, for instance, and maybe they don't have a contract, so basically they will not get the salaries. And there are people who maybe they I don't know, they have a small flat and 5 kids, for instance, and there are kids in vulnerable situations. And as long as the situation doesn't change, the mood and the well-being of people are really changing a lot. I was talking to a colleague of mine who works with kids in vulnerable situations, which means maybe they still live at home, but their families, they have some kind, you know, of problem. And especially the small ones, the ones who cannot really reach out in any possible way, they are starting to feel apathy, or they suffer of insomnia, or in some of the worst cases, they have panic attacks. And again, considering, but I'm sure you know that because it must be happening also, you know, where you are, but again, cases of domestic violence towards women are not reported anymore. Those women are at home, maybe with, you know, the people who abuse them, and they cannot just take the phone and call. So there was a huge drop in the emergency numbers calls of women who are now definitely alone in the situation they find themselves in. And one of the organizations I work with, they treats people with mental challenges, let's say. And my colleagues are really good and brave in trying to engage them in online activities and so on. But then you consider that maybe some of them belong to families where parents are old and maybe don't even have a smartphone, or they don't know how to use it. So again, at the beginning, someone said this situation will make us all, you know, equal. I actually believe it's completely the opposite. We are definitely not equal, and this situation just highlights it so violently and strongly. And yeah, I think we also have to be very very aware about what's going on inside ourselves, I would say, because it's so easy to draw lines and, you know, just put people in categories. I don't know how it is elsewhere. I'm sure Israel is quite similar to Italy, but it's so easy to, you know, to point out to people and say, yeah, them, you know, they run outside, they shouldn't do that, or they sing on the balconies, how dare they do that, you know, when people are dying so much. And so this us and them dynamic, I find it really dangerous, because then us, of course, we are always right. And we have more rights, yeah? Like as with kids, we have more rights for people without kids, or as with elders at home, we have more rights, and us who don't work, I truly believe for different reasons, it's very difficult to everybody. And we should try and develop a little bit more of empathy. Is not a word I love so much, but the concept, yes. And, but it's not easy, because then, you know, every day, we are put in conditions which are really, really challenging. And now here in my region, they talk about a month. They don't talk anymore about weeks, because even when the virus will, let's say, start to disappear, we now know it takes only for a few cases to spread it again around. So in a situation where people live so close to each other, it's really dangerous and likely to happen. So people are starting to consider they will not go on holiday this summer. But, well, maybe many people will not have money or days off to do that, because we had to use our days off to stay home, the people who couldn't work. And people start considering they have to manage their kids not only for, you know, some weeks, but for some months, which is difficult, because then you have every day to invent something new to let them do things, because yeah, they have lessons, but it's not really like 25 or 30 hours per week, so it's less, and it's not going to last until September, so we don't know what will happen. I'm sure there will be some sort of PTSD, which is this post-traumatic stress disorder, developed among many people here, and probably elsewhere. And now I'm talking about Bergamo because I know here really the numbers are completely out of control, and we completely lost a generation of people, which is also about losing our memory and losing really those persons who built our country after the wars. And so it's quite different maybe from compared to other places, and I hope it won't be the same elsewhere. So I was really, yeah, so there are all these issues that we are trying to understand and name, but again, not all of us have the same tools and possibility to elaborate and think. So we really have to stick together. I believe that. And yeah, so that was it. Then again, you know, I wrote it a few weeks ago. We are Italian, so we try to cheer up. And at the beginning, there were all these people singing on the balconies. It really never happened in Bergamo, I must say, because here it was so hard and people really didn't feel like singing. But again, like I saw even last week in Rome, there was a gathering and there is a huge need, yeah, to keep the mood up. And I think we all have to struggle to do that because it's going to be long. So yeah. Yeah, that was maybe the average. I don't know if you want to see something like videos or so. You tell me, Chezi.
You wanted to show us a video, I thought, maybe, or
maybe I'll show you something that is.
Then after it, yeah, people will if people will want to talk, they will raise their hand, and I will do it one by one.
Yeah, so I will show you this video which was shot in Rome. I don't know if you know Ennio Morricone is one Italian composer, and he created many very well-known soundtracks. And you know, I show you this man. Wait.
Yeah, in the end, we will all be expert in Zoom.
Yeah, at the end, when we will not need it anymore.
We don't hear.
Wait.
Okay.
I may later, oh, wait. I may later
Okay.
send the links if you want to see more, and also a couple of good articles were written. So okay. Yeah, so I would stop here and listen to questions. Yeah.
If someone want to say something, Samach maybe.
Thank you, Rosita. Thank you. This was really something else than the reports from the news. I see that Anwar joined us a few minutes ago, so I want to invite Anwar, our mayor, to say something. We all think about you, about Italy, about everywhere, but Italy is the most closest place for us now with this disaster. So,
תמך, לא שומעים כמעט כי יש בעיה במחשב שלך.
כן, so I invite Anwar to speak up.
אוקיי. אנואר, בבקשה. אנחנו שומעים אותך. אנואר, do you hear us?
Hello, good evening. Thank you, Rosita, and I want to say that we are all the time thinking about you and what you are doing, and during this hard time, we hope that you will pass this hard time, and we hope to see you soon, not in a Zoom. We hope to see you here in our village, and we hope to continue our work together. So thank you a lot for sharing with us this hard time, and we hope that we will cross this hard time. So thank you, Hazy, also for organizing these meetings.
Thank you, Anwar. Ida, 1 second. Please, Ida.
This was waving of saying I agree with Anwar, but since you are giving me the chance to speak, then I can only say that I'm deeply touched by the profound information that you brought. I am moved, like just the screen of all the dead people. And I only can say in this moment, thank you for your compassion and thank you for your actions. It gave me at least an insight of more intimate information from the region, because I am part of, in my community here in Tamera, Portugal, part of the healing circle that is looking for information. And so I found it a very profound insight, information, all compassing and delivered with a lot of compassion and heart. So thank you for organizing things. I think that it's very important in these times to connect and to find every way to connect. So thank you for those who invented Zoom.
Thank you. Nava, 1 second.
Hi, Rosita. Hi, everybody. Rosita, I wanted to tell you that yesterday, Achinoam Nini did a concert to raise funds for the hospital in Bergamo.
Yeah, I saw it.
You saw it?
Yeah, she did it on Facebook, and she did it because she filmed here the video of the very well-known song, which was the soundtrack of the, Life is Beautiful That Way.
Yeah.
So she shot it here, I think, I don't know, 20 years ago. And then she also came back another couple of times to give concerts. Yeah, that was really sweet. Many people are singing for, for us.
The video maybe that we can...
I know if it exists.
Of course, we have the link.
I have.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have the link, and wait, it's here.
I think it is showing us that, the virus doesn't know borders, doesn't know everybody is the same in danger, and maybe it will, I hope it will bring people to think differently about conflict. and how important it is to cooperate and to learn, share knowledge, and to work together to solve this horrible epidemic. So
this is the position of the optimistic one. Like, yeah, there are people saying, yeah, after the virus, we will really be a community, you know, we will help each other, we will. And then some other people, they say, well it's not the virus who's going to change us, you know, we're just going to be the same, maybe even worse. I don't know, you know, I have different positions every 5 minutes. I change my mind. So sometimes I'm very positive, and I truly believe that it is already, you know, the after we talk about. And so there are so many good signs we can make better. And then I really don't know what will happen on the medium term, because now we still don't know what will happen on a financial and economical level. My country is a strong country on some sides, you know, we belong to the G8 and blah, blah, blah. But then on other sides, especially some areas in the south are really poor, and we all know economy will be very, very harshly affected by it. We don't know how. So when then everyday life will be changed according to, you know, a recession we are going to face, we know it already. I don't know what will happen to people. And yeah, so I don't know. But yeah, we have to be positive, and to you know, to feed this positive part also, because it's very easy to get, you know, a bit depressed. So yeah. So if you want, I can show you Ahinoam Nini, that, by the way, in Italy we just call Noah. I don't know why.
Yeah, if it's please.
If I let's see, because now I don't see it.
I'm also trying.
Maybe you can send the link for everyone, and Evie wanted to ask something or to add something. So
yeah,
Evie,
so we can wait.
Yeah, Evie, you are on.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's so exciting to see people from all over the world. And I think it really shows that this has no border. It brings all of us together to cope with the same virus. And, you know, we always say, yo, it's really worse in Italy, and our heart is with you, Rosita, from the moment that we heard that it's in your town, that it's the worst place. And but I think that the good thing that we're taking out of this is that it really shows us that we're all made of the same, and that we all have to cope the same way, and it brings kind of all of us together. And Rosita, I wish you a lot of strength for coping. I think it also brings you inside strengths out, because when you are in your home all the time, then you have to look inside, and you're just less looking for the future things that are outside.
Yeah. I was talking about it with a friend of mine today, because of this, you know, changing of deadlines, and we are all aware we are not going to see each other for months and hug each other, maybe, you know, until Christmas. And well, yeah, of course you have to be strong, but I must say, and I would say I'm quite a mature person, and I've got some tools, you know, to manage myself, but still every other day there's another reason to, you know, burst into tears and feel really depressed or sad or alone, or it's really like being on, you know, I don't know the English term of this, you know, I don't know. Yeah. So
ups and downs, you mean? Like
right, this, but it's like really
like in the Luna Park.
That's it. Yeah, that's
roller coaster.
Yes. And yeah, it's not easy, but then I'm truly a bit afraid of what's going to happen in the US, because something I didn't mention is that in Italy, the healthcare system is quite completely for free for everyone. And which is quite stunning. Now that I say it out loud, it's even more, impressive than it is in our everyday life. So basically, everybody could be taken care of and could be healed and can be healed. So I wonder what will happen when the virus will reach other countries where, this is not like that. And I was in touch, maybe some of you remember my boyfriend, Andrea, who was with me in Israel. Actually, I was with him in Israel 20 years ago. And he lives now in San Francisco Bay. And anxiety there tends to get out of control, even if he's in very, good financial condition and, he has insurance, whatever, but still, you don't know what will happen to your people, to your neighbors next door, and if he gets sick. So it's quite, when I say it's not the same for everyone, I also mean this. Or also I was mentioning in my letter, we have so many refugee camps, or some sort of refugee hotspots in Europe, especially in Greece, but also in Italy. So if it spreads there, I don't know how they will manage. Those are overpopulated areas. And
maybe Deborah, you want to speak? Please.
Sure, just briefly to say that the best part of this is feeling like I can somehow or other embrace people that I love terribly. And it's hard to be away from each of you for different reasons. I hope Shireen's baby wakes up and she'll show us her new baby. But other than that, I just, I live in a country now where we have a lunatic in charge and his family, which are only slightly less mentally deranged. And you can't imagine how crazy it is. You can't imagine. It's just madness here, not from the disease, which is already bad enough. Our state, New York State, has a brilliant governor who is taking control and behaving like a president. But the president is saying we can't share ventilators. These belong to the federal government and the states have to go get their own. He's a lunatic. So it's hard to know how this is going to, what path we're going to go down, but mostly the people are good. Mostly, we have long haul truckers here who are delivering goods, and people are voluntarily just letting them know by letting their companies know that a trucker can stop by a house and somebody will come out and leave a package of prepared meal for the trucker to pick up because there are no restaurants left anymore by the roadside. So that's just one small thing that's going as normal, right? Americans tend to be pretty generous and pretty easy. So that's the good, the bad, and the ugly. But thank you.
Shireen, I don't know if you noticed, but she focused the camera on the new baby to show you the baby. So if you missed that, Shireen, do it again, please.
Oh no, please. Where? Oh my God, I missed it. How did I miss it? Now she has to pick up the baby again? Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. I hope you didn't have to wake her up. Thank you, if you did. Thank you, Chessie.
Thank you. Shireen, you want to hear the little baby? Maybe he will cry.
We are with the four together all the day, from the morning till the night. But Alhamdulillah, thanks God, we are safe and in peace and in good health. Thanks to God, Alhamdulillah. I mean, it was really touching hearing you, Rosita. Of course, I wrote you, but hearing you is much better. And wow, it's like, I don't know, I told you, like a nightmare, like a tragedy, whatever is going on in Italy. in Bergamo that I've been and touched also in Bergamo. So thank you for sharing. And I'm also loving to share my own baby and life.
Thank you, Shireen.
شكرا فازي.
קובי, 1 second. אולי שמח יותר זריזה ממני. בבקשה, קובי.
Rosita, thank you very much for sharing with us this dramatic and terrible picture. I have a question, or in fact, 2 questions. One is about what was the reason that Bergamo in North Italy got it so much worse, at least at the beginning, than any other place. And the second is, what is the lesson that everybody else can in the world can learn from your case? And so one thing that I want to share and ask you, what do you think about it, is this effect, which is not so familiar, and it's called the butterfly effect. So it's an effect that a very, very small perturbation in one side of the world will cause a butterfly, wings its wings, and then on the other side of the world there will be a hurricane. So it's in our case, I mean, somebody did a mistake in a market in Yuan, and now there are more than 1 million people in the world that were affected. But the issue is about Italy and the north of Italy. As you said, you are a wealthy region and very prosperous, and the medicine and also the health system is of, I believe, very high level. So why is it that it happened there? And I heard one idea that it was just a fluctuation. This fact that this football game between Bergamo and Sevilla was moved from the local stadium to this Juventus stadium, and 50 million people gathered there, and then 5,000 were affected, and then it moved to their families and parents and so on, and that was this incited the issue. So again, it's some small fluctuation, small stupid decision to move this game to a much bigger stadium, which caused this big disaster. And so in this kind of systems, one has to be very, very careful not to make any tiny mistake, because it's not like in linear system that you do small mistake, it will cause small effect. Small mistake here can be very dramatic. So I want to ask you, what do you think about this idea, and what are people in Bergamo? I'm sure that everybody there thinks about what was the reason that we were hit so much worse than any other place.
So of course I don't have answers. I have maybe some opinions. One is that the virus in Bergamo area spread in a hospital, which was not closed, but for a few hours. So it means, and this covers it's really 2 villages from here, like 3 kilometers. I go by foot with my dog every day there when I can walk. Now I cannot, of course. So they didn't close it down. It means not only that, people using that facility got infected, but also nurses and doctors. And at the very beginning, it was around the 20th of February. So it looks now, the dinosaur's age, but it's only a few weeks ago. We didn't know, we couldn't expect what was going to happen. So I think that we were not cautious enough, because we didn't know what was going to be. And so this is one reason they probably should have shut down the village. But I tell you a bit more. My brother-in-law, he's the director of the branch of a bank in the village nearby, which is now the most hit in Italy. And I remember that he would come back at night, and he was like completely pale and shocked, and he kept on saying, "You don't understand how many people are dying. and nobody's doing anything. And we were at the end of February, so still, you know, not even at the beginning, before the beginning. So people on the field, they knew there was something strange and out of control, but then authorities were still a bit, you know, shy because they didn't know what was going to be. They couldn't really foresee, you know, the development of the virus. So they were like, I would say, sillily brave, you know, like, no, we can make it. Oh, you're just overreacting, you know. And so this is something probably that those two villages should have been shut down immediately. So the hospital, the two villages, and the match. Yeah, we are talking about a championship match, and you know, it's quite an event for Bergamo's football team to be there. So it's like the pride of the year of the town. And that match was I think on the 24th or 25th of February, and it was in Milan, because our stadium is not, you know, it doesn't really guarantee the standards the Champions League wants. So it was in Milan. And there were people from Bergamo and people from Valencia in Spain. And yeah, there were like 50,000 people, even more. And they say that could have been a huge accelerator of the spread of the virus. Well, it makes sense to me. So many people in such a short, you know, in such a small place, it definitely makes sense. So it could be that. And there's something else which has to do with, I must say, a bit sad to say that, but I believe it's true, with money, you know. They didn't shut the villages down because there was a huge work to be done in one of the factories. Really work that should, you know, employ hundreds of people of the valley. Here it's, you know, one of the valleys of Bergamo. So they didn't want to just cut the flow of the work. And the association of the, I don't know how to say that in English, you know, it's something like a lobby of factory owners. They really, you know, they really made the point very strongly. They didn't want to close the village. They didn't want to close the factories. And I think they gamble a little bit on our lives, and actually they lose and we lost. And so this is something else that happened here, which is really sad, and I think this is the main reason why people are getting angry, because on some level we acknowledge that it's very difficult to manage an emergency like this. And maybe it was stupid. We didn't consider China as close as it is, as you say, you know, butterflies. But China is, you know, so far, and it's completely another culture, completely another, you know, quality of life, you know, completely different to just adjust to our situation. So we felt it was something else, you know, not about us. Now we know. I still believe we are not clever enough to just copy paste what they are doing in there, because now they are a bit after let's say the emergency, but still they are keeping very strict measures in their everyday life. And so the main reason why people here are angry is that because of financial issues, they didn't take care of our health. To make it really, very, very straight. And I dare saying this because it's not about being leftist or rightist. This is an opinion we all share, all. Like I was elected in the municipal board of my village last spring. I'm leftist, and we didn't win, but I was elected, so the worst of the worst. And so my mayor is right-wing, but he would say the same, you know, thing I'm saying. I mean, we are all on the same page about that. And I think we should have been a bit more strict since the beginning. I mean, they didn't close up all the factories. And I remember one of my colleagues saying, no, not colleagues, one of my friends who works in a factory, you know, really on the field, and he say, there are 1,000 people working here, no masks, no social distance, no nothing, we just work in there. And it went on for weeks. So you can imagine what it means. They come back to their families and they go back the day after and blah, blah, blah. soon. Yeah.
Thank you. Is there another one? We will finish at 10 minutes to 9. We have 13 minutes now. If someone wants to say something, please.
Yes, I want to say something.
Hi, Dorit.
Hi, thank you, Rosita. It's good to see you and hear you. Thank you for your deep sharing and then sensitivity and care. I think you as a social worker is and will be in front line dealing with this trauma in the future. What occurred to me now when you were talking is that we owe you, we and maybe other countries owe you because of your bad experience we learned. And here the steps started very early because we learned from what happened to you. So we owe it to you also. I can understand that people could not imagine, it didn't happen in the West at least, something like that, since maybe, when was it, the Spanish flu?
100 years ago.
100 years ago. They say it could happen again. And some people predicted that it will happen, but not many people listened. So maybe we could all be more careful now. Yeah, and something else that occurred to me when we were speaking is what Kobe was saying, how we influence one another. So it's not only, physical viruses, going back to our conflicts, our viruses are contagious also when we speak to each other or when we have conflicts or when we are traumatized. So other viruses are spreading around the world, and I think they work the same way. So maybe this is an understanding that we can take with us, to be more careful and sensitive about our ways, how we behave or how we live our lives. That's my understanding. Thank you, Rosita and everybody.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Good evening. I wanted to say thank you for the initiation of bringing us together. It's so important. Like I walked with myself for the last few weeks asking, what about our friends all over? We are in the same boat. Like, thank you, Rosita, for sharing. Like your pain is really still vibrates in my heart, and your pain is our pain, and we are in unknown all over. We don't know where it will take us. And moments like this of sharing and opening the hearts are so important. And these days I keep having conversations with our friends in the Palestinian area, and I am really terrified of what's going on, what will happen there with no facilities to support a process like this in Gaza and West Bank. And I don't know. I think it's a big time. It's a great time for praying, even if you don't practice praying. Opening the hearts and inviting compassion to anybody who has to deal with these difficulties. So I hope to be in another conversation and to hear more about what's going on. And I really want to ask, how is Noam? If you can share, Chezi, Ruti, to say, how is Noam? How is she?
Hi. Hi, everybody. Noam, after 10 days that she felt very bad, and now she feels better. Now she was in our house. We have a small room that she was isolated there, but yesterday she felt very bad, and an ambulance took her to the hospital. They treat her, and she feels much better. And today they took her to a hotel in Jerusalem to stay there because there is השגחה רפואית, medicine treatment.
Care.
So
Care.
yeah, medicine care. Tomorrow she will be in.
Yeah, tomorrow we will host,
her
here if you want to join.
You are most welcome to join and hear from her. We had a terrible time since last Thursday. Very frightening. I cried a lot. And all the time, you know, we are thinking about you all over the world, about Italy and Spain. And as Daphne said, maybe it's the time to pray. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Ralph. Please.
Thank you, Rosita, very much for sharing. I just wanted to ask if you see any signs of improvement of some kind of organization or something that, you know, would give you hope.
Yeah, as I said, what gives me hope is the activation of the people, like volunteering to help each other and yeah, to build a hospital out of the blue, and to really, you know, each of them to do something for someone else, and especially youngsters. In the association I'm volunteering in, since a few days I cannot really go out to shop because I'm over 40, so all of a sudden I realize I'm old. But it's true indeed that people over 40 that can, you know, develop a worst form of the disease in case they get positive. So this is to say, in this association in few weeks gathered something like 140 people, and most of them are under 30, under 25. So they just go out, go shop, bring stuff to the people who are at home. Very, very often these are elderly, and very often those are positive people who are in isolation. So they really risk their health to do that. This gives me hope. I really believe they are the actual ratios of our time here. And I must say I'm very disappointed on a political level. So if your question implied some sort of, let's say, wide perspective on a political level, I'd say no, I'm not for that. I was completely, and I am very disappointed by the European Union. I wrote that also a few weeks ago. To me, it doesn't make sense. Every other country manages this by itself. So to me, this is the complete failure of our union. I hope they will somehow react in the coming weeks. But as for now, I would, and I believe me, I feel strongly European. I would say I feel more European than Italian even. But it was really disappointing the way they completely underestimate. And yeah, we all know that it's not a matter of borders. Yeah, now it's very clear. So this, and on a national level, again, I think we lost the chance to react as a country despite political differences. Actually, our politicians are really playing games still, you know, still now that hundreds and thousands of people are dying. And I really believe this is shameful. I cannot listen to them anymore. Really, they are still, you know, reproaching and each other and discussing things are so useless to us, like to people now, and just for their, you know, political gain or loss or interest. So I'm sorry to say that I replied to your question by saying I just believe in in people, and I really hope this will open the eyes of some who have been voting a bit blindly in the last 20 years. But yeah, we'll see.
Ula, you wanted to say something?
I just wanted to say that I thank Rosita very much for what she said, and I agree that we need to enforce and to strengthen and to support activities on grassroots level. And I think that we have a power that each of us has, the power of intention. If we know where we want to go, and if we try to use our energy, our fantasy, our capabilities to go towards this goal, then we can change something.
Thank you. So thank you very much for all the members of the village, al-Salam, Neve Shalom, friends from all over the world. And I don't know, just how do you say?
I would like to just add a little thing, can I?
Please, Rosita, please.
Just a small something, because many of you know him. I just spoke, and I see there is Herman there. I'm so glad to see you, Herman. I spoke with Bruno Segre a few hours ago. He's going to be 90 in August, and this is just to let you know that he's fine. He's home, healthy and good, and in a good mood, I would say. He was okay today, and
it's good to hear.
And he sends his regards. So who knows, maybe we can organize a huge party for his 19th birthday later on during the year. It may not be in August, maybe later. Yeah. So thank you for coming.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
My best wishes.